you've got this cool piece of cherry wood, right? But it's bowed like crazy all the way down, cupped. How can we fix that? So I skill saw this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I think I kept this as one piece. 7 pieces right here, and then it all falls down flatter. Put glue in there, pinch it, pull it all together with your clamps, and then when it dries good, run it through the planer, and then you've got a nice flat, no wobble piece. Look at that, see? So we salvaged what would seem like a waste of wood, good for the fireplace, now usable in a nice plank. We're going to fill this with epoxy and make a little short table for a piano, a little keyboard. You'll notice some of the grain lines up, but look at here, it doesn't line up. These shifted and I had to grind off these edges and round them because it all shifted when it went flat. Now we're just going to stain it before we do any epoxy in this old rotten wood that we took out. She wants to do purple. Now watch how this just brings out a beautiful color. It makes you realize you really did not want to throw this wood away because it was warped. It's good to find the solution. So many of my projects I've been using this Olympic Elite oil finish. It just brings out the colors so well, and works great under I've done it under polyurethane. I've epoxied over it like I'm going to do on this little table, and it just comes out beautiful. So it's a great one for cherry. If you're ever doing that, give that a try. Then it's time to mix up the epoxy. She wanted purple, so that's exciting. But I'm trying to make it translucent, practicing how much I put in there, because this summer I'm planning on doing a big table. I got a huge piece of thick cherry wood from the tree that's kind of zigzag, kind of curvy, like a river. So I'm gonna put those two pieces side by side. It's gonna make a river in the middle. It's got some of these rotten parts in the middle on each side. So I think it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be a huge project though for me. So I'm excited about that. Here I'm really concerned about the level. If you're going to do it this way, you really need to have it on a level surface and the board you're working with level. Because I'm trying to bring it right up the top and be just under even with the surface of the board. So when we do the flood coat over the whole top, it can just go level and flat and pour into whatever thickness is left there. But this is thin coat epoxy that I'm using, so I have to do it in several layers. So you notice this layer is clear. And I like the look of that, where you've got the color down deeper and the clear on top. It gives it a much, I think, a deeper look, like you're looking down. And I want to be able to see through it anyways a little bit, so light will go through it. And you can see that that's going to happen later on. Looks great. Blowing out some bubbles, and not too many bubbles in this way of doing it. I stir it with those little skewers. I found if I do that, I don't get too many bubbles. And but you get some. And also, like, if you do an epoxy, that the flood coat's gonna have bubbles coming up, especially where I made all those cuts on this board to put them all together and make one smooth board. Well, that's gonna blow up some little bubbles, and it does, but they're so small, and by the time it's dry, they're pretty much done. And so it doesn't come out bad at all. You'll never see a bubble if you're looking for one. But on the big table, I won't be doing it that way. All right, so time to make some short little legs, because this is so you can sit on the floor and play the piano. And so I make a little stencil. I'm going to put some dowels and do a dowel hookup. Find a 1/2 bit, and here we go. Make my little stencil, so all the dowels can be the same distance apart and match up on everything. Stencils are just a great way to do a lot of woodworking and solve a lot of problems. They can be pretty simple and speed things up if you're going to repeat things. They can get pretty complicated and really make something look like it was very difficult to make when you just did a stencil. All right, there it is. Pop out the first one. Looks great. Do that to all of them. Dowel fits in there. Perfect. Pick the right size drill. That's why. All right, now we got to pinch it onto the board and drill it in there. I love it when the dowel goes through the epoxy actually right there. And you can look in and see the dowel going through the epoxy when you turn the table over. I think that looks cool. What do you think? Is this a good color epoxy? Is this a good way to do this little table? Make use of this used wood? Leave a note in the comments. Tell me what you think. You guys are so full of great ideas out there. I'd love to hear it. All right, so get all put together, carefully turn it over, and that's what she's gonna look like. I think it's pretty cool. I love epoxy projects. So take the Japanese little mini pull saw, cut those dowels to length, flip it back over, glue them in the, so they're even with the surface, right? And then push those down. But they're still a little high there. I guess when I drilled through, I had some chip out. Sadly, that is on the top. So I put a little bit of red wood putty, and well, it hides it, makes it smooth. But there's a piano over the top of it, so you don't really see it. Now it's time to do that flood coat I talked about. Cover the whole thing up, and pray there's not too many bubbles going down in the cracks. But the glue is pretty well in the cracks, so there was hardly any bubbles coming through. A couple of spots kept dribbling bubbles out, but not bad at all. So it looks good, shiny when it's all done, isn't it? It's one thing nice about epoxy, you get immediate shine. I don't like having to go over that and sand it like they do in so many videos. I'm like, just stop right there. It's perfect. But they have the reasons. Like here, I have to sound this little lip because the tape there, it walks up the tape. It makes a sharp little thing. So if you reach down and grab the table, you might cut yourself. So I'm going to get a little soft sanding there, and careful not to touch anything else. Should have put sandpaper there. I'm sorry. Should have put tape along that edge. But there's that Elite. Going to do the rest of it now. Stain everything else. And she is going to be done. Look at that. Legs and everything looks good. I'm so fast at putting that on. And there's the finished product. Check out what it looks like in the bedroom here. So you can see through it, translucent. Love that, because I believe that epoxy and LED lights go awesome together. So I always want to be able to get that right ratio, so that's possible, because I'm going to be doing that in that table I talked about. And there it is in all its glory, right on the ground. My daughter loves to sit there and bink right there, play the piano. I don't know how the kids do it, man. They can sit on the hard floor right on their knees for hours. I can't even get off the floor if I get down. All right, say hi. Well, say bye. Guys, if you enjoyed this, subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Bye.